Welcome to True Cyber Crimes, the podcast where we peel back the layers of the digital world to expose the darkness lurking beneath. I'm Chris.
And I'm Nick. Today we launch a 5-part descent into the psyche of the ransomware operator. This isn't about code, it's about motive, morality, madness. On this episode, we're going beneath the surface web, past the deep web, and straight into the digital abyss where ransomware is born, sold, and deployed. It's a place most people don't even know exists, and yet its consequences ripple through our everyday lives, from the gas we pump to the food we buy.
So lock your doors, enable two-factor authentication on everything you own, and maybe, just maybe, don't open any suspicious PDFs that land in your inbox, because today we're venturing into the allure of the dark web. And trust me, it's far more insidious and organized than you can possibly imagine. Let's begin.
Right. Well, let's start with the infrastructure, because the dark web isn't just a place, it's an entire ecosystem, a shadow economy that thrives on anonymity and disruption. At its heart, it's not a physical location, but a network of hidden websites accessible only through specialized software, primarily called Tor, the onion router.
Tor's history is fascinating, actually. It wasn't built by criminals. It originated in the mid-1990s as a project of the U.S. Naval Reserve's laboratory. It was designed to protect U.S. intelligence communications online. The idea was simple: bounce internet traffic through a series of relays, encrypting it at each step, making it incredibly difficult to trace the original source. A genuinely brilliant piece of technology. Ironically, it was repurposed to become the backbone of clandestine operations globally.
And the currency that fuels the shadow economy? Monero. Not dinero, not money, Monero. While many still think of Bitcoin as the go-to for illicit transactions, its public ledger, the blockchain, actually makes it quite traceable, especially with sophisticated analytics. Monero, however, offers true anonymity. It uses something called ring signatures to mix your transaction with others, stealth addresses to mask the recipient, and confidential transactions to hide the amount. It's designed from the ground up to be untraceable, making it the perfect medium of exchange for those who want their dealings to remain invisible. The commodity, as Chris said, is chaos.
So picture this. You're on Dread, the Reddit of the dark web. It's not a sleek, user-friendly interface. Think early 2000 forums, but with a menacing edge. You scroll past threads like best RaaS for small businesses, the Ransomware-as-a-Service for small, medium businesses, by the way, or REvil affiliate looking for initial access brokers. You get a 70-30 split, so that's not bad, right? It's LinkedIn for felons, I guess is a good way to look at it. A buzzing hub where the elite of the cyber criminal underground connect, collaborate, and conspire. And Dread is just one of many. There are other forums, private chat groups on encrypted messengers like Telegram or Jabber, all serving a digital water cooler for a new breed of criminal enterprise.
And I don't know how much time you spent on Reddit, Chris, but it can get bad enough. So I can't imagine what Dread is actually
The
like.
evil end of Reddit is. It's really crazy.
But the real action, the actual exchange of goods and services, happens in marketplaces. The dark web has seen a long line of these, each rising and falling like empires. If you remember Silk Road, that was the genesis, launched by Ross Ulbricht, whose alias was the Dread Pirate Roberts back in 2011. It was revolutionary. Yeah, it was. In fact, I think he just got pardoned recently, or there's a lobby to pardon him. Anyway,
great.
But it was revolutionary, providing a platform for everything from drugs to fake IDs. After Silk Road's demise in 2013, it only lived a couple of years, and Ulbricht's ensuing arrest, a hydra of successors emerged: Alpha Bay, Hansa Market, Wall Street Market, and for a long time, the dominant player, Hydra Market, which was the longest darknet market in the world, primarily serving Russian-speaking users, before it too was seized in 2022. The new king, well, the title is constantly contested, but groups like the Russian market or various smaller, more agile markets always fill the void, constantly evolving to evade detection.
These aren't static sites, glorified bulletin boards. They're dynamic, sophisticated platforms. They incorporate familiar e-commerce features, escrow systems to protect both buyer and seller. Wow, eBay,
Yeah.
Amazon, dispute resolution mechanisms, vendor bonding schemes where sellers put up collateral to prove their legitimacy. That's just crazy. They're proving their criminal legitimacy. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Love
robust
that.
ratings and review systems, just like Amazon or eBay. Well, there you go. You can find detailed vendor profiles, read customer feedback, and even see staff picks for certain tools. It's professionalism of crime on an unprecedented scale. It really is. Wow.
Let's take a second there, Chris, to think about that. I buy some illicit code or tools from you. You don't deliver, and I call up the bad guy customer service, lodge a complaint against you as an already criminal on
Yeah.
the dark web. It's fun. Uh, um, so what about the products that are on this this dark Amazon? It's a terrifying catalog of digital weaponry, ransomware-as-a-service or RaaS kits, ready to deploy ransomware packages, initial access, so stolen credentials, unpatched vulnerabilities, compromised network entry points to target organization. Exploits are out there, so the zero-day vulnerabilities or unpatched flaws in software. There are phishing kits, complete toolkits that can be used to launch convincing phishing campaigns. There's money laundering services. So in case your Monero isn't clean enough, because now you can clean millions of dollars in untraceable crypto, all priced, reviewed, and even discounted like legitimate software. So I would imagine if you do like a multi-year contract, or you've got more seats, you've got more leverage on pricing. I
You
don't
think
know.
if it's the end of the quarter too, they're going to give you a blowout deal. It's
Yeah,
not going to roll
we
into the
get you
next
to sign
quarter.
by 12/31. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not amateur hour. These are highly organized operations. Take Lockbits up, the elusive administrator of the Lockbit ransomware gang. This individual or group didn't just run a criminal enterprise, they ran a sophisticated PR campaign. They had a dedicated blog for taunting victims, a Telegram channel for updates and announcements, and they even leaked victim data with dramatic countdown timers, turning extortion into psychological warfare. They were marketing themselves, building a brand, demonstrating their effectiveness to potential affiliates and current victims alike. They even offered bug bounties for flaws in their own system, a concept straight out of the legitimate software development. That's wild.
And what's absolute genius is their affiliate model. You don't need to be a coding wizard to do this. You don't need to host any of the infrastructure. All you do is buy access to these RaaS platforms. You get a copy of their ransomware strain. Excuse me. You deploy that ransomware strain to a compromised network from this cloud on the dark web, and then you split the ransom. Often it's a 70-30 split with the developers of the ransomware-as-a-service kit. So it's like Uber for extortion. It democratizes rather cybercrime, lowering the barrier to entry significantly. So now you don't just have the sophisticated out there. You've got any rando that makes their way onto the dark web, wants to spend a few dollars, and the scale of these attacks goes up significantly, because now it's just not just those who know what they're doing. So these relatively unskilled individuals can cause millions of dollars without even knowing what they're doing. uh, all the damage that comes into play is real. And while leveraging someone else's sophisticated malware to do it. And that's just uh,
It,
that's crazy to me.
if you think about the evolution of it, kind of too, it started with, they say dark hooded, people in their parents' basement, and then it developed into these organizations that are extremely sophisticated, and now they've become so sophisticated that they're offering this as a service back to those kids that are sitting in
Yeah,
their parents' basement learning, thinking, man, how can I make some extra money this summer? So it's
right,
just,
right, yeah.
I don't know. So Nick, why? What turns a coder, perhaps a brilliant one, into a digital extortionist? What's the psychological leap from developing software to crippling hospitals and pipelines?
Yeah, so we're gonna put on our criminological theory hats for a minute,
Ooh, let me
and
get ready.
we're gonna look at this through three key lenses. All right. So one is rational choice theory, one is neutralization theory, and then the last is the dark triad personality traits.
But I want to take rational choice theory, so because it's simple. They
Well, and you're
calculate
nothing if not rational, Chris.
they calculate risk versus reward. For many, the perceived risk is near zero. You're operating from a country with lax cybercrime laws, using anonymous networks and dealing in untraceable cryptocurrencies really creates a significant feeling of impunity. The reward, on the other hand, is enormous. $500,000 to 10 million per successful hit, sometimes far more. And as the notorious forum user Pomp Puri, and if I got it wrong, Pomp, come on and let's talk about it. I apologize. Who later gained infamy for running the breach forum data leak site, once chillingly remarked, "Why rob a bank when you can rob 1,000 hospitals from your bedroom?" The efficiency, the scale, the perceived lack of direct confrontation, it makes perfect, albeit twisted, sense to these criminals.
So then there's the neutralization theory. This is a concept that explains how individuals rationalize their deviant behavior, which then allows them to temporarily suspend their moral compass. So they use techniques like denial of victim, which is they had weak security, they deserved it, or big corporations have insurance, they can afford it. So that's denial of victim. Denial of injury. No one actually got hurt, just a financial loss. This gets tricky because if you deal with hospitals, as was quoted above, that gets into some gray area, obviously. Then there's appealing to higher loyalties. I'm doing this for my family, or maybe in some warped senses or cases, I'm exposing corporate greed, kind of that vigilante mindset. Then there's condemnation of condemners. Law enforcement are just corrupt. The system is rigged. And then lastly, you've got denial of responsibility. I'm just a coder. I didn't pull the trigger. The affiliate did.
Yeah.
We saw a real world example of this from Revel or our evil affiliate known online as Unknown. So they were known as Unknown, who stated,
Come
quote,
on.
hospitals pay fast, schools pay slow, we avoid churches. That's our ethics.
That's great. They've got ethics.
Yeah. They establish their own twisted moral code, a set of unwritten rules that allow them to justify their actions. It's a form of cognitive dissonance that lets them sleep at night.
And underlying all of this, studies have shown that ransomware operators often score high on the dark triad personality traits. Machiavellianism, characterized by manipulation and exploitation, narcissism, an inflated sense of self importance and a lack of empathy, and psychopathy, marked by impulsivity, lack of remorse, and antisocial behavior. These traits, combined with the technical skills and opportunity, create a fertile ground for cyber extortionists.
I could see that. But not all of them are monsters from the outset. Some are what we might call ethical hackers that have taken a wrong turn. Take the enigmatic figure known as Phineas Fisher, for example. This individual or group gained notoriety by hacking into surveillance technology companies and banks, stealing their data, and then releasing it publicly. But there's a twist. They then donated over $80,000 in Bitcoin from their illicit gains to Kurdish rebels, framing their actions as a form of hacktivism. They even published detailed tutorials on how they conducted their breaches, essentially open sourcing their methods for others to use. It's not pure greed, it's a complex mix of anti-establishment sentiment, skill, and a distorted sense of justice. It goes to show that the line between white hat and black hat can certainly be blurry and easily crossed.
These guys were really like the Robin Hood of cyber criminals,
Or so they felt, right? That was their
Yeah,
justification.
that's what they told you. But
Yeah.
so that's moral disengagement in action. The brain rewires, empathy atrophies when you're dealing with faceless corruption and anonymous victims online. The distance of the internet makes it easier to dehumanize, and the community itself reinforces this behavior. Dark web forums are rife with success stories, memes mocking victims, and even leaderboards celebrating the biggest ransoms. It's the gamification of crime where notoriety and financial gain become intertwined, creating a powerful feedback loop. You're not just a criminal, you're a player in a high stakes game, and your peers are cheering you on. Think about, the video games that have been out there that have been doing this for
Yeah.
years, and now it's real, and it's just a video game in a lot of their minds.
Yeah. Well, and I got to say, I work with some very skilled red teamers or ethical hackers, penetration testers, and it is when they find something or get into something unexpected, they're thrilled, right? The
Yeah.
gamification, the excitement of uncovering treasure or something like that is real, and I can see how that could be addictive. Um, and we had one just last week that was a pretty big find, and yeah, they were excited.
Like a kid in a candy store.
Yep. So let's turn to a landmark event that shook the world and brought the reality of ransomware into the mainstream. On May 7th, 2021, the date is etched into the minds of cybersecurity professionals. The dark side ransomware group hits Colonial Pipeline. This is one that we've talked about before and on the podcast. It wasn't just another corporate breach. Colonial Pipeline operates the largest fuel pipeline system in the United States, supplying approximately 45% of the East Coast's fuel. The attack disrupted operations for days, leading to widespread panic buying, fuel shortages, and ultimately declared state of emergency in multiple states. It was a national security crisis disguised as a cyber attack.
And the attack vector was incredibly simple yet devastatingly effective. One compromised VPN account, a virtual private network connection that allowed remote access to Colonial's corporate network. And the password, Colonial123. An alarmingly weak password that, combined with the lack of multi-factor authentication, was all it took for the attackers to gain initial entry. It's a stark reminder that even the most critical infrastructure can be brought down by a single point of failure in basic cybersecurity hygiene.
This, very recently, I think we've all heard at this point about the Louvre being, yeah, having the jewels stolen in France. And not exactly a cybercrime, really truly a physical heist, but it came out that in recent years a security assessment of the Louvre, if I'm saying that right, I'm uneducated swine, it was discovered that the password to their security camera system was Louvre. That's all it was.
No one would ever guess that.
So you've got this that happened Colonial Pipeline that happened just a handful of years ago, and now just like a couple of weeks ago, priceless jewels were stolen because of a similar, or at least in relation to a similar issue.
It's like putting the most expensive lock on your door and then not locking it.
Yeah. So DarkSide, the group behind the attack, had advertised their RaaS on the dark web, boasting enterprise-grade ransomware-as-a-service, double extortion, no hospitals, no charities, 75-25 split. That was their ad. They tried to portray themselves as ethical criminals, claiming they had standards. They demanded 5 million paid in Bitcoin. Colonial Pipeline, under immense pressure, paid the ransom to restore their systems. But then, DarkSide issued a bizarre public statement. We are apolitical. Our goal is money, not chaos. They even claimed to have donated some of their illicit gains to charities, attempting to further whitewash their image.
Oh, nice. That was really nice of them.
Sweet,
Uh,
sweet, really.
yeah. But the FBI was on their trail. They tracked the Bitcoin transactions. While Bitcoin's blockchain is public, identifying the owners of the wallets is the challenge. However, through sophisticated blockchain analysis and intelligent gathering, the FBI was able to trace the movement of the funds from Colonial Pipeline's payment to a specific wallet controlled by DarkSide. In a remarkable operation, they recovered $2.3 million of the ransom, essentially seizing the cryptocurrency before the criminals could fully launder it. This sent shockwaves through the cybercrime community, demonstrating that even anonymous crypto wasn't an impenetrable shield. DarkSide, facing unprecedented pressure and the potential for further law enforcement action, ultimately shut down their operation. But the ecosystem's resilient. The affiliates simply migrated to another RaaS group, most notably Lockbit, ensuring the criminal enterprise continued unabated.
The key insight here is profound. Even ethical, unquote, ethical ransomware groups, those who claim to avoid critical infrastructure or charities, can't control the fallout. One attack on one seemingly ordinary company can lead to a national crisis, disruption of essential services, and highlight the fragility of our interconnected world. It proved that ransomware wasn't just a financial nuisance, it was a threat to national security and public safety.
So let's try to get inside the mind. How do they sleep at night after causing such widespread damage?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, Chris. Let me put my glasses on so I can sound smart. It's a constant process of cognitive dissonance reduction. And they use various mental gymnastics to do this. There's compartmentalization, there's dehumanization, moral licensing, and then, of course, slippery slope. So, compartmentalization, my online life as a ransomware operator is separate from my real life as a husband or father or son.
Oh, nice.
Dehumanization, which the victims aren't people, they're IP addresses, it's network segments. It's nothing of human reality. Moral licensing, which is I've done good things in the past, so this one bad thing is okay, or I just need to provide for my family, and this is the only way that I can do that. And of course, there's the slippery slope. They may start small. Perhaps it's with phishing or carding, and gradually they escalate each step, making the next one easier and easier to justify. So from the ransomware diaries, an anonymous collection of interviews from former operators, one operator named Mango chillingly stated, hit a school? Nah. Hit a law firm? I'm fair game. They sue grandmas. So law firms sue grandmas, so we can go after them. It's a classic example of creating arbitrary rules to justify their targets, making some victims acceptable while others are off limits, at least in their own minds.
And as you mentioned a little bit earlier, let's not forget the thrill when your teamers found something. The dopamine hits from successfully breaching a Fortune 500 company, watching the ransom time ticker tick down, the bragging rights and encrypted chats with fellow operators. It's an addictive cocktail of power, intellectual challenge, and illicit financial gain. It's like high stakes poker, but with human lives, livelihoods, and critical infrastructure on the table. The adrenaline rush of pulling off a massive attack, the instant gratification of seeing millions in crypto hit their wallets. It's powerful motivator that can override any lingering moral qualms.
That's a deep dive into the dark abyss for one episode. Our next episode, we will discuss the operational blueprint.
But first, your action item and our plea to you. Patch your systems. Enable multi-factor authentication on every account you have. Never reuse passwords. Back up your data offline if possible. because the next target, the next ripple of chaos, it could be you, your business, or even your local hospital.
If you've been a victim or know a ransomware operator who wants to talk anonymously and securely, we're always listening. Send us a DM here at the pod.
Until next time, stay off the dark web, or at least don't buy the Roku kit. All right, Nick. Good to talk to you.
See you, Chris.